Hey guys, it's Paradise, and we're still buzzing after the reveal of the brand new Monster Hunter Stories game. It is looking incredible with a more mature tone and an updated art style that has us seriously hyped. And while we were covering the Battlefield 6 reveal, even more details have now dropped for Stories 3, so we thought we'd go through all the new info to catch up and break it down for anyone else who's just as excited as we are. Firstly, the big thing to know is when it is out and what it is called. Well, it's Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection, which if you don't know the Stories series, it's a rider-focused RPG game, and it's coming out in 2026 to Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, so it isn't too long of a wait until it's playable, and it will be on more systems than before. Hopefully this will allow it to reach a larger audience because honestly the Stories series is so good. Now, one of the major ways that the more mature tone is reflected in this game is that the characters now have more real-life proportions and are actually older. User Arekkz on Twitter has made an image showing the main characters throughout the series, and you can really see the progression from the older look to the new look as the games go on. Another thing about the game and the characters that's been revealed is that this time Capcom are saying you've got a fully voiced main character, a bigger world to explore, and a darker story with morally complex characters. The turn-based combat is also getting a major upgrade, and we don't know exactly how that is changing yet, but supposedly, according to Capcom, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection is going to take things to a whole new level. The combat system for Stories 2 was already pretty unique, and while it looked simple on the surface, when you got to the end game it was deep and nuanced, especially in the PvP. Alongside everything else, we also have some official details about the actual story of the game in the official press release, which is super cool to know as the narrative of Stories 3 is looking way more intriguing and mature this time around. It almost feels like the actual overarching direction may have taken notes from Fire Emblem, and honestly, I am all here for it. They say Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection tells the story of two nations on the path to ruin. Amidst the growing crystal encroachment facing the lands of Azoria and Vermeil, the discovery of a mysterious egg gives cause for hope. From the shell hatches a monster long thought to be extinct, a Rathalos. However, this glimmer quickly gives way to despair as a second monster emerges from the egg. The twin Rathalos share the same mark as the twin Skyscale Rathalos, portents of destruction that harken back to a civil war waged 200 years ago. As the environment deteriorates and monsters face extinction, the flames of war once again begin to stir. Well, it's really interesting to see that we now have a new name for a subspecies of Rathalos, which is labeled as the Skyscale Rathalos. Previously in the Stories series, we've had Raisewing Rathalos with similar blue scales and markings. And Raisewing Ratha in the lore is known as the Wings of Ruin, where it can bring waves of destruction and burn the world. So this could be linked to the return of the new Skyscale Rathalos, as they do explain that this marks an ill omen of war and destruction. This time though, with twin Skyscale Rathalos, it's clear to have a major impact on the story, and it will be very interesting to know how things evolve as we learn more. They go on to explain more details about the kingdoms in the game, and this is where I get really excited. They say, in this tale, players take on the role of the heir to Azoria, blessed with special abilities leading them to become the leader of the Rangers and the sole Rathalos rider in the kingdom. The protagonist passionately performs their duties, protecting monsters and investigating egg quartz. However, a life-changing event soon drives them to investigate the strange phenomenon threatening the world. In their search for the truth, they set out for the Forbidden Land beyond the Northern Meridian. The hero is joined in their quest by Eleanor, the Princess of Vermeil. Troubled by the worsening situation, she offers herself as a hostage to Azoria in hopes of easing tensions between the two nations. Moved by the efforts of the Rangers, Eleanor and her cherished monster Anjanath come along for the ride, seeking to uncover the true intentions of her sister, the Queen of Vermeil. Bound together by the encroaching shadow of calamity, they step into the torrent of fate and venture into forbidden ground. Now, what's really interesting here is the mention that during the story, we will travel to an area called the Forbidden Land or Forbidden Ground, which brings to mind the fact that Monster Hunter Wilds takes place in the Forbidden Lands. And while it could be a different area, as they may just be reusing the name for a different zone completely, it sounds like we might possibly get to experience a crossover to Monster Hunter Wilds' Forbidden Lands, and if that is the case, then by extension, we may get to see some monsters from Monster Hunter Wilds 2. Or it could just be a completely different or new Forbidden Land. We'll have to wait and see. But the Forbidden Lands in Wilds is also known as the Eastlands, an uncharted region and part of the Old World, and pretty much includes every locale in Wilds from the Windswood Plains to the ruins of Wyveria. So it would be cool if this is the same location and we may see some familiar sights, but we'll have to wait and see if it is the same area or not. Furthermore, user Eexia Repair 14 on Reddit has cleverly pointed out that the castle shown in the trailer for Stories 3 looks eerily similar to the ruined citadel from Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Although the surrounding locale does look slightly different, and Monster Hunter games generally sort of follow the same world but have their own story, it certainly seems possible, or at least is a very cool thought, that these castles could be the same. I certainly like the idea of it. The bridge, the circle wall, and the larger towering ruins in the back do look similar. Perhaps this could be a hint for more Rise or Sunbreak monsters returning in the roster, which seems highly possible given that Magna Marlow is confirmed in the trailer. This is particularly exciting because the monsters in Stories all get some really awesome moves and even unique cutscene special attacks, with Stories 2 having some really incredible ones, so I can't wait to see what Stories 3 will have in store for us. So overall, we know that we'll be playing as the Prince to the Azuria Kingdom, with the Princess of Vermeil in our party as a willing hostage, although the two kingdoms do not get along and there might be a war between them. We will of course have our own special Skyscale Rathalos that will play a major part in the story, alongside its twin, which we don't actually see in the trailer outside of it hatching, so it seems they may have been separated. There is, however, one glaring character that is missing from the trailer and the confirmed information, and that is everyone's favourite or least favourite character, Naviru. He's appeared in both Stories 1 and 2, as well as the Stories anime, so it seems unlikely that he won't make at least an appearance, but with a now fully voiced main character, it may be possible that he isn't present or plays a lesser role. Some community members are also joking that he may have died, but I'm expecting he'll be in there somewhere. So that's all the Stories 3 information we have so far, and we are super excited for this one and cannot wait to get hands on. So we'll be back with more information as and when it drops to keep you guys up to date. Here at Arekkz Gaming, we're two friends who love to play games. You have me, Paradise, as well as 26.
Our goal is to keep the videos as concise as possible by cutting out any of the fluff and focusing on what really matters with high quality videos.
So make sure you're subscribed down below for more videos on your favorite games coming very, very soon.